in summary, the most important thing that you need to know before you interview is what your first year OTE is, on track earnings. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt, because sometimes the companies are going to lie to you to get you in the door. But you want to hear that your OTE for first year is at least 60K, ideally 70K or more. So you want to hear that to hit your targets. If you hit your targets, the average guy's going to make 70K for the first year, and then you can be doing over 100 year two. That's where you want to be ideally, because there's no point working sales for under $70,000. Okay, at least in 2016. It's too hard a job. It's too much pressure. You need to be getting paid a lot more than the average person making 45 grand if you're going to be in sales, right? Like if you're working a call center for $45,000, making 300 calls a day, there's no reason for that, right? You're working way too hard. You're dealing with way too much pressure for way too little money. OTE is number one. Then you want to find out what the top guys make, and you want to hear over 200,000. When I was working at Salesforce is the biggest CRM company in the world. Their top guys there, from what the recruiter told me and from what I've heard from guys that I knew that worked there, were making like 400 grand. Now this is a very high pressure environment, but they are paying you for that, and it is a huge company. So if you hear the top guys are making 400 grand, this is possible if you're in pharma or dental or software, one of the big industries, that's a big selling point, right? Because even if you're just like a mid-ranking guy, you're going to be doing over six figures. You don't want to. I've worked at companies where the best guy is making 110,000, and he's bringing in $1 million in revenue and like killing himself for the company. It's not where you want to be. So, what kind of job should you aim for? My advice is to apply for outside sales jobs at big companies. The bigger the company, the better. That's because small to mid-size companies are not the best place to work if you can avoid it. The pay is worse, the benefits are worse, they're always at risk of going under, no matter what they tell you about how healthy the company is. The company is always at risk of going bankrupt or not being able to meet payroll. And chances are they're going to breathe down your neck on the targets a lot harder than a big company will, because the owner he's either going to be working with you in the same office, or they're going to have like 4 or 5 branches, and he's going to keep a close, tight rein on all his branches. I've worked for small to mid-sized companies, and it's like, the VP of sales for 5 or 6 branches is going to know your numbers. He's going to know how many calls you're doing. Like, a lot of the times you're going to get micromanaged because they need to hit those numbers desperately, or they're not making payroll, they're not being able to pay for the office, and et cetera, et cetera. If you're working in software for a company like AMD, they don't have anywhere near those kind of problems. And the guy that you're reporting to, and the guy that he reports to, and the guy that he reports to, it is not their money. They are not the owner of the company. They are not, walking around the office looking at you like you're wasting your money unless you're on the phone 24/7. And the benefits are going to be better. The pay is going to be better. They are going to, in general, give you a lot more flexibility. They're going to be less hard on you. And the reason I say outside sales is outside sales generally is more prestigious. If you're selling for AMD or any big software company, usually the better sales jobs are going to be outside sales, right? You're not going to be monitored. Hey, did you make your 100 phone calls a day? You're going to be monitored on your numbers, and you're going to be given a lot more leeway. You're not going to be, micromanaged to some degree. It's basically going to be like, hey, come into the office for a few days a week. Make sure you're hitting your 5 or 6 meetings a week. Make sure your clients are serviced, and just hit your numbers. That's what a good outside sales job is going to look like. And you want to get into those as soon as possible, because they're not going to want to hire a 35-year-old phone monkey who's never had an outside sales job, has never covered territories, he's never, worked in that way. They would rather hire a kid with no experience who presents well, who has a nice degree, and they can mold into their company image. Also, just avoid the hardcore phone sales if you can, because it's just a lot harder. It is a way harder way to earn a living. You earn less money. There's guys breathing down your neck all the time for targets. It's a really hard way to earn a living, and if you can avoid it altogether, I 100% recommend that. And you also get a lot more leeway, and just everything's better about an outside sales job. So, how to interview, okay? Custom tailored suit is the way to go with a tie. Gotta wear a tie. I hate wearing a tie. You probably hate wearing a tie, but you gotta wear a tie to the interview. I used to buy Zara suits for like $250, $300, get them tailored for another $60, $70. You're going to look better than everyone in the world who isn't an investment banker. Okay, the only guy who's going to look better than you is the guy in the $5,000 tailor-made suit. And you want to present the image of a well-dressed, confident, aggressive, but also polite and pleasant alpha male. Okay, this is what every sales manager is looking for. So you're coming in a tailored suit and tie, and you got your chest out, you got your back straight, you're speaking from the diaphragm, you give solid eye contact combined with a nice, solid, firm handshake, all right? This doesn't mean that that's how you actually feel. You can be scared shitless on the inside and feel like a little boy in your dad's clothes, but on the outside, you're cool as a fan, you are acting the part, and you're selling, okay? That's what sales is. You are selling. No matter what's going on the inside, you are selling that this is who you are, and this is what you're going to bring to the company. And you're going to be asked about your job history, your previous salary, what your targets were, what challenges you overcame, and you should have a good spiel ready to go and good answers on all of that already practiced. You should have practiced a little bit in the mirror to make sure that you got everything together. If you have no sales background, that's okay if you're coming straight out of school, but you should have a story as to why you think you're going to be great at the job. And what he's going to want to hear is that you like to compete, you were good at, you played sports, and you want to be able to continue that type of competition and pushing yourself to hit goals. You're an outgoing, extroverted person. You like speaking to people, and most of all, he's going to want to hear that you want to make money. And you say it like this, and you say, look, I just want to be honest, but money is important, and I do like to hit challenges, and I do like to speak to people, but money is a big driving factor, and I want to maximize the amount of money that I can make. And that's going to be like music to his ears, because that's all they care about. They want guys who are the most money hungry type of people in the world. And if you've been fired or you quit your last job, you should also have a good story for that. Even if you have to lie and get a friend to act as your reference, which I've done. Getting fired is a tough position to sell yourself from. You really want to avoid getting fired altogether unless you're planning on it being your last job and you're going to take the employment insurance and work on your business. You never want to get fired, okay? Because it's very hard to sell yourself out of. And if you get fired, honestly, like, you're better off. I mean, you can go the honest route, but I had friends lie to me as references. The resume is not a legal document, so it is not illegal. I mean, if they catch you lying years later, they're going to fire you, but it doesn't fucking matter. I did like the fake references and all that shit, and you never want to be getting fired. And even for my first sales job, when I was transitioning from an equities trader into sales, the entire resume was a fucking lie. And I figured, if they catch me 2 years later, I'll just say, well, I'm a salesman, right? You're selling them, So also every sales guy is lying on his resume, 100%. because that's part of the job, right? You're selling. But you have to be careful about what you're going to lie about. If you're interviewing at an SME, a small, mid-sized company, you can lie your fucking ass off because Barb in HR is not going to do any background checks for the most part. And they will not call your university to see if you graduated, right? Barb, the lazy office manager who takes 100 smoke breaks a day, is not going to do that. If you look like a nice boy, they're just going to let you in. However, if you are going to AMD or one of these big companies, then you're not going to be able to get away with much at all. They're going to call your university. They're going to call all your references. They're going to do a thorough criminal check. By the way, if you have a criminal background, I would lie about it. I would not tell them, because that's going to be that they'll screen you out right away on that, no matter what it was. Worst case scenario, if you get caught in one of these lies, you just won't get the job. Okay, at the end of the day, the only time it's not good to do that is if, it's a small thing, whatever the problem was, it's a small thing. And if you're interviewing for an SME that doesn't require a college graduate, don't lie and say you graduated college, because they really aren't going to care that much. But if it's something like a criminal record, I would not be upfront about that, because that's going to cost you a lot of jobs. So, like I said, this is a game of survival, guys. And a lot of the time, you got to survive. You got to get a job. You're trying to stay off the streets. This is real fucking life, and you do what you have to do. No one's getting hurt. You're planning on going there and working hard anyways. So, you do what you fucking have to do at the end of the day. And that's what it is. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And if you got a criminal record because you made a mistake and you were driving drunk, that's going to put you out for a lot of companies. And if you got to tell them, no, you're clean, that's what you have to do. All right? Worst case scenario, you don't get the job. But with the large companies, they're going to do the full background check. So you're going to want to be pretty damn clean with them.